Okay, I don't know if we are live yet. There's always a little bit of that delay at the beginning. Well, folks, this just might be an extremely short stream. I don't know if I'm about to lose the internet due to construction. Um, if I get that phone call, I have to go. But if that does happen, then I'll be back at some point whenever the internet returns. So first of all, I want to thank everybody. Wow, I hit 600 subscribers and passed that sometime last night. Thank you. I'm quite humbled. I never thought that this would be that popular. I um I can't do without you guys. I'm so grateful to everybody who's watched and tuned in and subscribed. Um, these days with the YouTube algorithms, if your channel doesn't constantly get an increase in the like button and the subscribers, then you basically uh, get put in the back of the newspaper, so to speak. You don't get seen by anybody. So I do appreciate the likes and subscribes. Please tell everybody to hit that button who might possibly be interested. Channels live and die by likes and subscribes. I can't thank you enough. So with that said, I wanted to give an afternoon update because we do have some new videos to watch. I'm so sorry I couldn't be with you last night. I have been battling a couple of things such as intermittent internet problems and still being sick and nauseous. So if you'll bear with me, I'm not going to do too much scrolling up and down because that's making me ill. So I'm going to try to carefully do this, but if it becomes too much, I'll just have to take a break. But in the meantime, with all that being said, there's some important stuff. First of all, there's perhaps some good news going on right now. I can see aircraft all over the place. So with Flight Radar 24, check this out. West of Belden and east of Butte Meadows, we got a bunch of planes. We've got some Sikorskys. We got some, looks like an Orion. We've got a Vertol, which is like the imitation Chinook. And we got a Airbus helicopter, and we have Tanker 15. So that's pretty dang awesome. There was a Hercules running around, and we had Flight of the Condor. Oh, I think that's Condor over there. Yeah, Condor 26. Look at this. Look at this pattern. They're doing a monitor. They are patrolling. So that's excellent. I don't know if they're able to do any drops because we're deaf to their chatter this year. My stream was pretty much one half of it was monitoring firefighters and what they're saying live and the air command. But, well, we can at least see that they're trying to do something right now if we can't hear them. It makes me sad that we can't hear them this year, but hopefully that'll change. If some ham radio operator would please just quickly fill the need and get on Broadcastify, that would be wonderful. We would understand the situation so much better, and the public would feel so much more informed, and we'd be a lot less stressed. So we've got some incredible Sikorsky Blackhawk. That thing is a beast. Got all kinds of craft in the sky right now, and that is pretty cool. The time is 3:04, and if you just tuned in, this might be a quite a short stream. It all depends. So last night I was monitoring the situation, and I didn't see anything concerning. In fact, I was looking at the map, and things looked to be pretty good. Let's go to activity. Oh, this is the wrong map. Let me cycle in the good one. Just a moment. Ugh. Turning my head is making me ill. There we go. So we saw, as the night went on, less in the way of the GOES 17 hotspots. They were still over there by Taylorsville and whatnot, and then they dropped off. So I thought that was pretty dang cool, and the video we're about to see kind of explains some of that. Dennis, he's the man who explains everything going on in the East Division. They split the divisions in two, or excuse me, split the resources in two, just for simplicity's sake, there's still one unified team, but there's a west and an east zone, and he does such a good job of explaining what's going on in the east zone. When they say what they're doing, like we did firing here, here, and here, then that really, gives us a picture of, oh, in the middle of the night, that wasn't fire spreading, that was them, working on it. So I'll play that video in a second. One thing that raised my eyebrow, though, and gave me concern was the evacuation of East Allenor, this strip on the east side of the lake here. And the sheriff's office had a bunch of questions, and somebody said, why there? Why was that evacuated when, say, the peninsula was not? And the basic answer was because fire is headed in the east shore direction. That doesn't mean it's going to get there. It just means that's the way it's headed. And that's the way it's headed because that's where the wind is going. So I have a new trick up my sleeve. I have the ability to draw. Check this out. Wind is going northeast at, kind of it's been a lazy pace, so to speak. This pretty much is going to change today, but that's kind of why the fire's been slowly over time moving that direction. So there is the possibility for embers floating over that way. And so why evacuate here mandatory when that isn't mandatory? Well, it's simple. Just look at the map. The East Shore has only one way out. There's only one road. There really aren't any roads that go up Dyer Mountain, and if they did, it would take you more than an hour to get to the top and cross it. So that's just a precautionary good measure. Anytime that there's just one way out, you're extra vulnerable. So you got tons of options over here on the peninsula. So it may be evacuated with a mandatory issue sometime soon, but at the moment it just isn't. So I would like to show you the current evacuation map right here. So this is the one that encompasses Butte and Plumas County. Give it a refresh. Any day now. Map. There we go. See, as you can see, it's still under watch. So they did extend the mandatory evacuation all over Indian Valley, just as predicted by myself. And I just don't want to alarm anybody. It's just a smart precautionary thing for the east side of Lake Allenor. It doesn't mean, oh no, that's where the fire is going. It's where it could potentially go because the wind would blow embers. And today, with the instability, the moisture coming in, that means that they don't know how much in the way of embers they're going to get. So as I was explaining on my previous video, I speculated that they were going to light this here to keep the fire from reaching the many, many homes and cabins on the west side here and other assets. But I figured they lit the fires here instead of at the highway because they would like to stop the fire way up this way. That's the priority. Because the further it is away from the peninsula, the less likely the embers will drift over. And I had that confirmation this morning when the I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. One of the ops guys explained that's exactly what they were doing. So it always makes me feel good to accurately predict what they're doing. It reinforces my idea that I have a firm grasp on wildfire and its behavior. It's actually not that complicated. Predicting things is very, very complicated, and as computer models get better, they'll get better. But just what does fire do in scenario A, B, C, or D? Is the wind blowing this way or that way or whatnot? That's pretty easy to understand. And as a layperson, I can inform and educate people about it because just fire behavior isn't that difficult to understand. The basics are all you need to make plans that are effective, keep yourself safe and your property as best you can. So I'm glad that they confirmed that, and I'm glad to see that so far they're very confident with that, and they like it. They like the results. So, looking back here, I think we should get to the video. We got a couple to watch, and I need to... Condor 26 is a fire mapping aircraft. Awesome. Hey, Josh, welcome. You are such one of the most valuable players right now. Since you're the only person in chat right now, you're definitely the most valuable player. So, but yeah, I'm glad to have you. You're so insightful and informative. Let's go ahead and watch this video. I am in love with Dennis right now. Okay, yay, Greenville. So sorry about these technical problems. I don't know what muted my mic earlier, but I'll try to trim off the beginning of the video, and I'll just go back to what I was talking about. If you saw me drawing on the map, I was basically explaining that I've been monitoring the fire through the night, but I'm just sick as a dog. And I've also had intermittent internet outages and problems related to some nearby construction. So, like at any time, they can knock on the door or call me and say, "Hey, you're going to lose it again." So I did this rapid fire, go, 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 jumped on here to give you guys an update, and did not notice that the microphone was muted. My bad there. So I can't move around screens too much with the nausea sort of returning. I am on the mend, but it's an ear problem, and so I can just, every once in a while, just lose balance or get dizzy. So, with that in mind, that I may have to go soon, I try to do a rapid fire summary. Um, so, yeah, but thank you for telling me about the audio problems. But I'm glad you got yours. Thank you everybody for being here. What I started out with was sometime during the night. Last stream I surpassed 600 subscribers, and I'm very humbled and I'm very happy to have helped enough people to get that many subscribers. I think I had a whole 5 subscribers before I started the fire stream last year, and I was hoping to not need to do it again this year, but well, here we are, and I'm happy to help. So with the YouTube algorithms, my channel and any these days are buried if they don't get likes and subscribes that tend to increase or keep increasing. I don't know if they're trying to pressure us content creators to constantly make new videos, but you get put on the back page, page 37 of the news, so to speak, just because of the way it works. So if you hit that like and subscribe button, the like on each video, and of course stay subscribed, that actually is what keeps the channel alive, and I can't thank you guys enough. You can also share links to me in social media. I'm not really hooked into that right now. But that really gets the word out. And I like to do open questions and answer sessions throughout the entire stream. So go ahead and put that in the chat. I'll be happy to tell you my knowledge. Just in case I lose the internet, I will be back later, just whenever it returns. It would be probably by the 7 o'clock update time, or maybe 8 o'clock after they've given us that update. So I will be here if I can. When you saw me drawing, I was basically talking about the other video I'm about to show, which was this morning's update. So I monitored the situation throughout the night. Just couldn't go live because I had intermittent outages. But what happened was the fly and the spot fire of the Dixie fire merged. So I now have the ability to draw on the screen. So I can now just show you this, guys. That chunk right there is the fly fire plus Dixie's out of control spot fire. The main Dixie is, of course, this thing. If that spot fire had been contained, if they had been able to do that, we wouldn't have this chunk at all. Theoretically, they were working really hard to put in lines when it jumped the highway, and that's some of the steepest terrain around here that you could possibly be working with. So they couldn't do it. And they tried valiantly. So with the new situation, that's of course why we had the mandatory evacuations of Indian Valley occurred after that days ago. And so this update, though, is all good news. And I love Dennis, the way he explains things. He's the best communicator so far, with just like, here's what we do and it's how it works. And the others, they tend to use terms that the public's not familiar with. So when he was talking about backing, that's different than a backfire, but he was talking about both things occurring. So he said that the fire was backing last night, and that means that it's like going, backing fire means traveling really slowly because it's in an unusual direction. Usually fire goes with wind and up hills, and it moves quickly that way. But very slow moving fires occur when they're going like down a hill. And that can happen because flaming debris from up the hill rolls down it and drops down on it. And embers just sort of swirl around the wind and settle down on it. And that's what a backing fire is doing. So It also can mean going slightly against the wind, but just because things are dry enough and fuels touch each other. So like if a tree, I can draw again. Actually, I'll just draw you guys a tree. So there's a tree. Whoops, I need a really big one. So if there's a tree, that's a tree, guys. I don't have green, so I'm gonna substitute blue. So this is a tree. So with a backing fire, you can have the wind going that way, but there's enough vegetation where the trees are touching each other, or the bushes are, so that when the fire, let's go to pink. Pink is the fire. So when this fire is touching that vegetation, it's spreading against the wind because it's just touching that tree. And it'll go and go and go and go. So that's what he means by the fire did backing activity. And it's a confusing terminology because the next thing he talks about was the backfires that were lit. And so the backfire is a strategy. It's not the word like, oh no, blows up in our face. That term is used with explosives. Within actual wild firefighting, it's a good thing. Backfiring is a good thing. And they'll just abbreviate that to firing. So he says, we fired this and fired that, and it's because they lit a backfire. So that's when you know that a fire's coming, like over the ridge, for example. It's going this way. So what you do is you get ahead of it at night when the winds are much calmer or non-existent, and you know that the fire is going to go that way. There's no choice about it. You don't have time to stop it, or you don't have the ability to stop it. So the way you can stop it ultimately is to pick a spot like a ridge line or an existing road, and then you say, okay, that's sacrificed. And you basically, the idea is to burn a strip in between. So here's the edge of the fire here, and then you would light another fire here. So in the night, if the wind is going, at night the wind's going that way. This is just a random example. This is not the actual wind direction, but I'm just giving you a general example. Then this will burn off, all this here. A line of scorched earth. And so by the morning, when the wind is now going that way, it reaches the line of scorched earth and stops. Or at least slows way, way down. That is the whole idea. So when is this appropriate? It is appropriate when they understand the weather is going to be pretty stable, and when the wind is going to be died down and blowing in the right direction. And it is especially appropriate when there's nothing else to be done. So I was giving the stamp of my seal of approval and stamp of endorsement when they did this. This entire line here is where they lit backfires to stop the advance of the main fire from getting too close to Lake Alvinor. So I'm sorry when my stream was muted and it started. Thank you for the well wishes in chat, by the way. I was trying to explain why they evacuated, went mandatory on the east shore of Alvinor, this strip right here. And that was the only thing that raised my eyebrows yesterday. Like, why would they evacuate the east shore? And in the Plumas County Sheriff's Office chat, somebody asked that question, and they got right back with a response. That was pretty cool. She said that they evacuated Alvinor East here, their east shore, made it mandatory. The whole just handful of people. I mean, this is a very tiny area. Not a lot of homes and cabins and such over there, because that's the direction that the fire is generally going. And to clarify that means the fire's going, and this is why I was drawing earlier, the fire is going generally this direction, north to northeast, because that's the wind direction during the day. That's the way it typically is. The hot air from the valley rises, and that rises up and moves air into the mountains. And then as the cool of the night comes, the wind direction reverses in general. This is overgeneralization and goes back down to the valley. Why? Because it cooled, because it's nighttime, and it's no longer rising, it's settling, it's going back down that way, downhill. That way is downhill. So that gives them this awesome opportunity that in the night, They know that the wind is going to go that way. Thus, they are going to make this line of backfire. They're going to make that. They're going to fire this hillside, so to speak. So this is the perfect place to do it. I had some people in my last video be upset in the comment section, saying it's too dry for this kind of thing. It's too dry for this. It'll get out of control. And really, no. When they know the weather is stable, like we had the good fortune of the last several nights, um, it is not going to get out of control, because they're going to go and analyze each little area where there's a possibility. And I'm very familiar with this area right here. I could lead you around blindfolded. If we were on a dirt road here, I'd tell you to turn left to go towards the A&W and Chester, you know. So this is the perfect spot to do it. I endorsed it before. It worked. They're very pleased with their results, and I'm endorsing it again now. I mean, the action that they already took. So whether or not a backfire is appropriate, it's not like, oh no, the whole drought makes it inappropriate. No, it's going to be situational, and it's going to change from minute to minute and day to day. It's, what is this terrain like? You know, what is the situation? What is the fire load there? What is the weather forecast? And what do we want to do? So the main goal here was keep the dang fire away. Let me get the cursor back, away from the nightmare zone. The nightmare zone is this nightmare terrain. Look at this. This whole area here. That is some of the most rugged, inaccessible terrain you're ever going to see. Look at the high mountain peaks. Very few roads go in there. There's just some gated logging roads, and a lot of them no longer exist. If you put on the topo maps, I know because I tried to run around there looking for historical things to photograph. I started driving towards roads, and they just disappear into the bushes because they weren't maintained. So even if you do look at a map, arriving there, you'll be like, ugh. And so what does that mean? Roadless wilderness and steep terrain. That means nightmare. That means only aircraft could have any sort of hope or possibility of putting this out once it got up in here. And the Moonlight Fire was extremely difficult, because in 06, I believe it was, where I toured the aftermath, because it got up in here and almost took out a whole bunch of old historic mining sites and archaeological sites, and they valiantly saved those by making a stand and letting the fire burn all around them and various sites up in here during the Moonlight Fire. And but this year is a worse drought. This year it's worse. I wouldn't blame them if they decided that's too dangerous. If the fire got over here, we're going to see a months-long firefight. I know that this is going to go on right now for more than 2 weeks. We know that, and then question mark, we know that the Paradise and the Bear fires and all those took a heck of a long time to, many weeks to put out. And so we were looking at a long haul deal here, but it will be very critical they keep it out of here. We're looking at months and months, and just who knows what. This is some of the most inaccessible, steep and rugged terrain of California. It's the high Sierras. This is elevation 6,000 plus, over here. So what I was happy about last night is I kept looking at the GOES 17, and Taylorsville and such had spots. I mean, not spots, but it had areas that were clearly aflame, but we didn't know if they were firing it or not. Over here had areas that were clearly aflame. We didn't know, and here too. But then I noticed that it was going right along the roads where they said they were going to do it, which was Humboldt area here, and they chose that. I can tell you why. Because there's not any structures really here that are there to defend. This is like Belgium, like I was saying in my other stream. It's sacrificial land, and they really don't want the peninsula to go. If the fire was burning here, that'd be so close to the peninsula the embers could easily drift over, and then what would we have? We would have the nightmare of, the fire being on the other side of the lake, and It takes such a long time to drive around this lake, I can't tell you. If they lost the ability to take this road, this way around the west is the long way. Yes, it would be like this. Oh, since there's no ferry boat or magic way to, helicopter lift an engine, if this became blocked right here, this route around, yeah, see you in a few hours. It's that bad. The lake is huge, so they really need to stop it. And the reason they did, and they said that in a video I'm about to play, is that was to keep the embers away from this area. Now, why they evacuated East Eleanor is because to contingency. They didn't know what the weather is going to do today. They said that if the columns developed, the big pyrocumulonimbus cloud columns, I'm just going to call them volcano clouds. That's what everybody familiar with, the volcano-shaped clouds. When they develop, they can throw embers extremely high up into the atmosphere, or into the sky, I should say, and they can just go willy-nilly wherever they want to go because the fire will create its own wind pattern. So they were doing a preemptive strike here and predicting all this, and I'm very happy with the handling of this situation right here. I am happy they evacuated here because there's only one way out. Yes, and the situation in Greenville, in Quincy, is that there's some of the world's worst air pollution there right now. When we were looking at the cams, they were just looking like a complete bowl of smoke. Just it's settled in here, and I feel real bad for anybody evacuated to Quincy. I don't know if they should just get the people out because the smoke is that bad. I can tell you, it's just like smoking 4 packs a day. It's sticking your head over the smokestack of a coal plant. I mean, it's just that bad. My health deteriorated so much when I was out in smoke helping with evacuations last year in Oregon. One sinus infection turned into an ear infection, turned into a double ear infection, and I just deteriorated fast. And I wasn't even out there like fighting. I was holed up in a room trying to do my stream, and I had to stop when I eventually woke up and couldn't talk anymore. So I know their headquarters are at Quincy. I don't expect that the fire will be impacted thanks to, knock on wood, Quincy itself will be impacted unless something really unforeseen happens. And like I keep telling people, something unforeseen can happen. With weather instability, we know that embers can travel long distances and start fires. And there's a lot of luck factor. Whether or not towns make it depends on, where were the resources when the embers landed near them. Were they really close to pouncing on it right away and extinguishing the spot fire, or a new ignition source? If they were 20 minutes drive away, that may be too late. So they can't be everywhere at once, and that's why it's important to be evacuated. Even though I say things like, I don't feel like Quincy will be impacted unless, knock on wood, there's a unforeseen event. And look at what happened with the fly fire. That was one heck of an unforeseen event that just exploded out of nowhere and climbed up into steep terrain and mountains and suddenly was threatening the valley. And they were doing evacuations door to door. And that can still happen. The weather is worsening, so that happened when the wind was calm. That was just basically just a movement through touch and climbing. That wasn't even particularly wind driven as we know it from the disasters of Paradise and other places. As the storms and thunderstorms and lightning comes in, anything could happen. Anything. Some of the videos I've seen with torching, where a tiny fire at the base of a tree suddenly races to the top of the tree. I timed it. It took 6 seconds for just a tiny fire to get to the top of a at least 25-foot tree. My jaw dropped. I've never seen torching like that fast. The trees are going up like you see in those videos for fire safety where somebody has a dried out Christmas tree in there. in their living room. Hey, welcome Dakota. Welcome Cardi. Hey. Yeah, Canada looks terrible too right now. I've got a friend I keep checking in with at SLOCAN, and he's on evacuation watch. He's an actual sort of retired firefighter himself, and so I'm so happy that he's so far not having to evacuate SLOCAN in BC, but it's not looking good over there. It's pretty serious. Canada is in a battle. Thank goodness there's some international aid coming. Mexican crews were up there. They normally help us, but by God, Canada needs it too. Um, this is one of the worst seasons on record, and so we can't drop our vigilance or think everything's going to be okay now, because everybody was thinking that the bear fire was going to be okay, and all of a sudden 25 people are missing and 12 bodies are found, in a space of 24 hours after they said containment was like 78%, I believe. This is just from recall from my memory. Don't quote me, but you get the idea. So it's still a very tense situation, and any time that something really develops and I have the power to go live, I will. So no, we're not out of the woods yet. Like the weather, we can't forget the weather is deteriorating, but they worked like mad to prepare the area. And with incident reports like that, I was very happy to see that they're happy with a lot of their progress. So let's see here. We got the other video to watch from Plumas County Sheriff's Office, and that's from earlier today. Oh, there's a boil water notice for Indian Valley Crescent Mills customers. Yikes. That's not uncommon for water to be tainted in a situation like this. So that's people are like, aren't they evacuated? Well, yeah, they're supposed to be, but there's some holdouts. So you might as well inform the holdouts and, well, the crews there and the media there, and the people who have a right to be there, who are asked to remain to help out the fire crews, keeping gas stations and stuff open. They got to know you can't have cholera, so to speak, break out. So here's the morning briefing. It's very brief as well. That was from, around 8 o'clock this morning, but I want to show you the operational update because,
Good morning.
well, why not? This is about 7 minutes. Anyway, chat, we're open for question and answer time. I don't know how long I can be here this afternoon. That's why I'm kind of rapid firing this a little bit. I could be losing internet due to some construction, so fingers crossed. Let's watch the Plumas County
Good morning.
Sheriff.
My name is Mike.
Excuse me, the Plumas County Sheriff's is where we're watching this on Facebook, the CAL FIRE update. This was 8 a.m. So we don't have the evening one yet, of course. Here we go.
Good morning. My name is Mike Wink, and I'm an Operations Section Chief with CAL FIRE. our Incident Management Team 1 here on the west zone of the Dixie incident. Just as a reminder, the zone split between Team 1 and Team 2 is this yellow and black dotted line that runs the Highway 70 corridor up to the Caribou drainage, up here to Lake Almanor, and then east, and then to the northeast. That's the zone split between the two teams. So I'm going to start here down in Division Alpha on Highway 70, where the fire leaves the highway. The Highway 70 corridor, we continue tactical patrol, mop-up operations, point protection, watching those values at Ricks and those private property interests. Other item of note in the Highway 70 corridor, the utility provider is in there making safe all of those communication and distribution systems, and are working on now vegetation reduction to protect that critical infrastructure before they do replacement. So, and Caltrans is also in there addressing issues along the highway on the area that already has burned. Last week we still have areas of 70 east towards Quincy that are being addressed and still being evaluated. So it's kind of from the bottom. They're already working on repairs and trying to get things back to normal, while we have all the way to the other end of extreme, where we still have fire conditions that Team 2 is working on further to the east. So it's a very dynamic process there along Highway 70. But here in the west zone, the efforts to bring normalcy back are ongoing and continue. So here in Division Alpha, no change from mop-up and patrol. Things are looking good. Division Charlie, a little update. Last couple of days had some spot fires and some control issues. No change in that from yesterday. So all those efforts are working, and that's holding. So that's really good news here in Division Charlie. Echo and Foxtrot had a spot fire outside our initial primary containment line here in Division Echo yesterday. They picked that up. It held all day. Their primary line on it, they got secondary line on it, and they're making a really aggressive plan to get that taken care of to protect the communities of Butte Meadows and Jonesville and Sterling City and all those types of those locations. I'm going to jump over now here to Canyon Dam on the other side of the zone split. So from Canyon Dam back, this firing operation, multiple days old. The good news is they continued that firing operation from DP 103 here and have made it all the way around the horn, and they're coming back towards Division George. So a lot of good progress was made last night. The weather conditions moderated. The winds were in our favor. The humidity was in our favor. The fuels were ready. We were able to use a lot of technology where we were able to use night flying aircraft to watch for spot fires, and we were able to use night flying drones, UAVs, to do some aerial ignition and watch for spots. So a lot of technology, a lot of people in place, a lot of engines, crews, and the leadership in place to take advantage of when that window changed. We had a written plan. We vetted it through our process. It got reviewed. It was approved by everybody, and we took advantage of that in a small window last night when conditions moderated. So that's some good news for today. Back to the big picture now too. While we're working here right off the edge of the fire, that's going well. We always have our contingency line, right, that works from the top of Sterling City and Butte Meadows, kind of goes off to the west and then goes northeast again along the other side of Highway 32, and then works its way back around below Chester and works its way back to Lake Almanor. So that's the next contingency line that we're working on out there. So multiple things are happening in multiple places. I talked about we're using water tenders to spray retardant. We did that all along Humboldt Road, and we're doing that in other places, and that supported the firing operation to pre-treat those fuels. We spray the red stuff that comes out of the airplanes and helicopters that you see all the time in all the pictures. We're spraying that out of the water tenders because we can't get the aircraft out there. there. So we're spraying along the roads. We're spraying those receptive fuel beds. They're waiting for that ember cast from the firing operation. So we pre-treat it and spray it. We had 0 reported spot fires last night on the firing operation. Really good news. That retardant's working. All the weather conditions are working, and all that technology we use is working because we had them flying looking for spot fires. So conditions are still very dynamic. There's still a lot of work to be done out there. How much work? Just for reference, there's about approximately 82 miles of outer fire perimeter on the Dixie incident. 82 miles. From Chico to Sacramento is 80 miles. So you've got 5,461 firefighters that are spread out from Chico to Sacramento, all around this and all around the inside, working on this. So it's 3 base camps, 2 teams, 1 fire, 1 fight. There's a lot of work going on out there. Some good news to share. Making progress, but we have still a tremendous amount of work to be done. There's a lot of people evacuated, a lot of people under warnings. There's still a lot of open fire line out there on both sides, but we are out there with a good plan, making progress. I want to share too that while we have this zone split, we are working collaboratively with California IMT too. Okay, so we have resources along the Highway 70 corridor and along the Highway 89. We are in close communication and talking with our partners in Team 2 that are on the East Zone continuously through the day. We're sharing resources, engines, crews, and dozers. We're coming and assisting where needed here in the East Zone, in the Quincy and the surrounding areas, the Bucks Lake area, Green Valley, Indian Valley, all those communities out there. So we are working across the line. There's a line on who's primarily responsible, but we have engines, crews, and dozers that we're working together. Like I said, 1 fire, 1 fight. So that's some good news that we're sharing those resources as needed for point protection and helping each other to work towards that common goal. So that is your update on the Dixie, and I just want to remind everybody, if you have a wildland fire in your area, please make sure you have a plan that works for you and your family. Go to www.readyforwildfire.org for additional tools and checklists so that you make sure you have a plan. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.
Okay, so that was from 8 a.m. this morning. And I wanted to share that because if I'm going to update the east and west side, he can do the talking for me, so to speak. So I wanted to show you guys, if you're just tuning in, it's open question and answer time. Go ahead if you've got a particular spot you want me to cover. I was pretty pleased with the way things went, and that's a good, a bundle of good news. That on the East and the West Division, they were pretty satisfied with what they accomplished. They didn't have too many complications. And look at the aircraft crawling all over Butte Meadows right now. We got that Taker 911. He's a good old friend. Our DC-10 there. And we've got some what was that? Was that an Orion? And the Hercules, he's back. So we've also got little scout planes, and we've got Condor here somewhere, and we've got we got the buckets, we got the Bambis, got the Bambi fleet here, the Airbus helicopters. They're going to Chico. They're getting their stuff. They're coming back, and we got our Vertols, which are Chinook wannabes, and that Sikorsky is sleek, man. So looks like they're able to do drops if I had to guess, because if they were unable, I don't think they'd be returning. So the Lockheed has the Hercules here, he was in the air and had just gone back, if that's the same one I saw minutes ago. If it was not good enough to do drops, then I don't think he would have come back. We can go ahead and check out the cameras. Mr. Saxokeet, hey, welcome back. Thank you for your time and dedication. No, I love you guys. like, subscribe, and share to keep the place alive. I hate it when like people beg for likes and stuff, and I'm not. It's that I don't reach people or get boosted because that's just the way the weird YouTube machine works these days. So, but I just passed 600 subscribers, and thank you so much. I'm so humbled. I'm glad to be helping enough people. So let's go to our cams, and that'll tell us whether or not these planes are able to make drops, because if it's clear, they'll do it. So let me check out my second monitor here. I'll give you a couple ghost town pictures to look at as well, but I want to check out our cams. So let's see. Slope Mountain. That's not what I wanted. Is it? Is it? That looks like solid, like absolutely solid smoke. We're not in the correct area. Just bear with me. Oh, there they are. Here's my correct ones. All right, so we have Indian Ridge. Here we go. And I did a time lapse earlier. So this shows what went on throughout the night at Indian Ridge, which is, it swivels around a little bit, but basically it can look over at Greenville and it can look over at to the north at Indian Valley. This is the one where the camera just about burned up. If cameras have 9 lives, it has 8 now. The fire's still smoldering around it, and as wind picks up, you'll see these areas burning on the ground. That's typically where logs are, or piled up debris. Sometimes when trees fall down, they take a few with them, and they kind of sit in a pile. So when you get the wind picked up, it'll go right back into a sort of a bonfire, and it may or may not die down again. That's the heartbreaking nature of this, is you'll see some trees survive, just because of luck, or maybe they're separated from others. And then the wind will pick up, and then they'll burn. And you're like, no, that one was a survivor. But I'm rooting for this one, this guy right here. I bet he'll make it. It also seems to be perhaps a different species than the others. Hopefully that one makes it. So that was Indian Ridge, and that was the time lapse that I did earlier. I'm going to refresh now to see what's going on right now. And we've got some smoke in the area, and it's now facing southwest, which is unusual for the cam. We could do a little 1-hour time lapse. See if it moved. No, it didn't seem to move. All right, so let's go back up here. Stop. And we've got the Butte Lake. Oh boy, that's quite mustard. I wouldn't think that planes would be able to fly right over there right now. So, maybe they're not dropping. I hope they are. Maybe they're just seeking an opportunity. We'll get to find out at tonight's briefing. It'll probably be around 8 p.m. They seem to hold the meeting at 7, but I signed up for the Zoom, and it doesn't connect me. So I typically wait for them to have finished the meeting, and then they post it on Facebook or whatnot. Then I either go live and play it, or play it first and go live. So that is some poor visibility. That's abysmal. I don't know that they would be able to drop anywhere by Butte Lake. Maybe that's why they're by Butte Meadows, further west. Let's take a look if we got eyes over there. Not really. There's a dearth of cams. So Bald Mountain Butte is about our best friend, and hey, it is more clear. It is more clear. Let's do a time lapse of the last 6 hours. And you can see the smoke in the distance. Some vehicles going by. You saw their dust trails on the road. So yeah, there's some visibility here. I bet they're dropping. Sometimes when we're lucky enough, you can even see red splashes or like a huge jet body go past. I think it's about a 1-minute update. I think it's about 1 minute that this cam takes a picture. It's not a video. It's a series of still images, and the camera just snaps a shot once a minute or so. So, wow, we even saw the water tenders and such going by, and the caterpillars. So they do have some visibility. That's a low ceiling. The ceiling is like when you're flying, you know, where the cloud is above you, just like you're in a ceiling, and you want it to be high so that you could see. You know, if you're flying up in these clouds, you could have a midair collision. And if you're flying, if it forces you to fly too low, then you're at risk of running into terrain. Every pilot wants to be as high as possible in an emergency so they have time to react and pull up, restart an engine or whatever they have to do. So a low ceiling is extremely hazardous, and we just have to take our hats off and recognize their bravery. So that's looking good for the possibility of, you know, them actually making drops right now. We don't see any actual aircraft, but I bet they're out there doing it. Wow. That looks like a drop video. Do we have one? Let's check it out. There's no sound. Okay. Was that an Orion that just buzzed past? Oh, yeah. Nice. Is that the DC-10? Oh, it's looping. Let's watch it again. Yeah, it's a DC-10. It's got that characteristic engine on top of the tail. Haha, that's probably Tinker 911, our best friend from last year. So sad the global super tanker, the 747, isn't here. That thing was a beast. That thing was a beast. So that's pretty cool. That was from CAL FIRE Butte County. Sweet. So I didn't do the customary, this is the status, la la la, so I should probably do that now, and then I'll show you some ghost town pictures. I'll show you some of the historical assets that could be lost here that I'm on pins and needles for. We have open questions and answer time. Anybody just tuning in, if you want me to cover a certain thing right now, just let me know. People are worried about Greenville and such, but everything's looking good for the defense of Greenville and Taylorsville. They were really happy with making dozer line progress, and the backfires are going pretty well. And they're working right now above Greenville to tie in those lines and make a solid wall of defense for Indian Valley. So fingers crossed they'll be able to do that and complete it by tonight. So CAL FIRE's official status. We don't know when this was updated. It says around 10 in the morning. So maybe that's when they did the status update, not just say uploaded a map. The Dixie Fire West Zone. Fire activity on the Dixie Fire was moderate over the evening last night, with mild topography runs with flanking and backing. And temperatures will warm up well above normal again today. For the second half of the week, there's a chance of isolated thunderstorms. Fire is burning in a remote area with limited access, extended travel times, and steep terrain, which is hampering control efforts. Yeah, that is pretty dang remote. And for the East Zone, the Dixie and Fly fires burned together. Total acreage and containment have been combined, and the incident will just retain the name of Dixie. So it's all Dixie now. Yesterday, a thick covering of smoke over the area shaded the fire. Temperatures decreased and fire behavior moderated. And from the video we just watched, Dennis was explaining that's like putting a lid on a fire. Having smoke that doesn't move smokes people out and makes us cough, but it dampens fire activity like the lid on a pot on the stove. So temperatures decreased and fire behavior moderated because of that smoke shading the fire. The significant change in fire intensity, which means got dampened down a bit, allowed firefighters to conduct dozer and hand lines in some key areas, including areas of Taylorsville, Crescent Mills, Quincy, Bucks Lake, and Greenville. Engines are deployed in Taylorsville, prepping for structure protection in the event that fire reaches the area as it continues moving northeast. Firefighters plan to fire out fuels using Mount Huff Road to strengthen the fire line north of Quincy. Evacuation orders and warnings are changing frequently. Please follow local law enforcement and force social media pages and have a plan if you're not currently in an evacuation area. So that's basically the update. And they also have a boil water notice for the area by Crescent Mills. So that's not unheard of. Water gets contaminated during fires pretty easily. So we'll go back to forecasted fire danger. I found a neat little map here with the Forest Service, and this paragraph summarizes it very well. Extreme. From low, moderate, high to very high and extreme, it's at extreme for Plumas County and the surrounding areas. Extreme means fires start quickly, spread furiously, and burn intensely. That means we're not out of the woods yet. In fact, they're just racing against time right now to put containment lines in before the unstable weather that happens in the new lightning that's forecast for later in the week. So development into high intensity burning will usually be faster and occur from smaller fires than in the very high fire danger class. Direct attack is rarely possible with extreme fire danger and may be dangerous, except immediately after ignition. When they say immediately after ignition, that's like within 10 minutes. You got to respond like that. Otherwise, you've lost control and you're fleeing from the area. That's why I keep telling everybody it's a game of luck and chance and dice rolls, whether or not towns survive in these kind of conditions, especially when the wind picks up, which it's forecast to do. So that's why evacuation is so dang important. We haven't seen paradise-like activity before. That doesn't mean we won't. Where the wind's out of control and towns are swallowed. That is a possibility. So please don't let your guard down now with all this good news. That's what happened at the Bear Fire last year, and that's what got a dozen people killed. They saw that containment was increasing, and they decided, I'll wait till the morning to evacuate. Don't get yourself lulled into complacency. This is absolutely dangerous and serious. Fires that develop in extreme fire danger areas develop headway in heavy slash and conifer stands. They may be unmanageable while the extreme burning condition lasts. Under these conditions, the only effective and safe control action is on flanks until the weather changes or the fuel supply lessens. That means they can't stop it. They can't stop the charging head of the fire. Only it's like being a bullfighter and the bull's charging. You get the heck out of its way and sidestep. And then as it's barreling past you, you might be able to do something about the flanks, the sides that are weaker, that are going against the wind. That's what that means. So what we had happen in the case of Indian Falls, unfortunately, with all that structure loss the other day, you saw it get out of control. The firefighters and everybody in the area just fled. It got that bad. They got out of the area. Couldn't have stopped it if they wanted to. And they came back and tried to put out as much as they could, but that's why the structures were lost. So maintain vigilance is my best piece of advice. Hopefully this aircraft will be able to slam the west side, because if you look at fronts here, and I'm going to show you the nifty map I have before I show you some ghost town pics, I was able to get the division map. Oh, that just made me car sick. Oh, I can't scroll very much. Oh, okay. So I've got this division map, and I'll show you where the most intense battles are occurring. So where they're slamming it on the west side right here, that's the most intense. That has been fierce. Part of it is due to terrain. It's just, as they explained, is rugged and partly inaccessible and uninhabited, and there's just not that many roads. It's just pretty much wilderness and cattle grazing areas, and then you get to Butte Meadows and such by the highway, and there's human habitation, but it's basically national forest and wilderness where there never was much development. So they lost a lot of cattle, a lot of poor animals stampeded while they were on fire and ended up in heaps of dying, screaming animals by the hundreds with the bear fire and some others at the time. So there's been extreme concern for rounding them up this year, getting the heck out of the way. And so I can only pray that effort has gone well this time around. And but everybody is very, very concerned for the region, not just for the cattle, but the habitat and animals too. It's basically nature out there. And the livelihoods of a lot of communities up here and a lot of families are dependent on not losing their cattle this year, because that was a devastating loss. It was a thing that reduced people to tears, and it was one of the most gruesome things that firefighters had to deal with last year in the community. So there's intense battle going on here, just like there was before in other previous fires. And then there's, of course, this over here, where the fly fire had just erupted and raced up the mountain to get to Huff Mountain and the Indian Ridge camera. But they were pretty optimistic and very satisfied with the amount of lines that they were able to put in, especially down here by Bucks Lake. If nothing changed, knock on wood, it's almost like they'll be done and into mop-up and restoration of everything from power lines to facilities down there. That may begin soon if luck holds. They got pretty solid lines for contingency right here, where this hash is. That's finished line according to the map. And so then resources now can do the tie-up, which is what they want to do here. They're working on lines right here. That's what the gray means. And it's not completely finished. I can't zoom into that or I'll be sick. But where the darker areas on the map are here, it's finished, but you can see the gaps, and then they want to do the tie right there. So that's where they're working hard, and they really need to get that done to protect Indian Valley. The other thing they're doing is lighting fires, I believe, up this hillside above Greenville and Taylorsville, which I predicted that they would do. And that's what we saw overnight on the satellite maps. We saw the heat there. And with the Rosie report this morning, they basically said, yeah, that was us. We were doing it. We were successful. So awesome. This dotted R right here means that they've made a fire line out of a road. So cool. The hashed ones here are the dozers. And I love this nifty map. It has a key down here. This is headquarters. Whoops, that brush is really big, and it's at Quincy. And at north of the lake at Westwood, they have like a secondary one too. So, fingers crossed that they can finish the line work over here. They did say that they were going to light more fires here following Humboldt and the other road's name that I can't recall. So I do expect on the map tonight we'll see the hot spots there, but it's nothing to be concerned about unless, they get on the radio and say so. So fingers crossed that they can do this work before the bad weather comes. So let me get back to cursor and look at chat. Anybody have any questions? It's open questions and answers time. We can still see the aircraft activity. Go, 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 guys. We are rooting for you. Wish we could hear your chatter this year. It was so fun. We were like in despair. Oh gosh, everything's going wrong. And then we would hear the hilarious chatter of the pilots, and they'd say, got one. And they had just extinguished a fire by a house, and we'd be like, oh, cool. And especially the Lone Ranger, who was the Long Bell Ranger, I believe it was, helicopter. I wanted to identify him and give him an interview. He was really cool on the radio. I wonder if he's fighting again this year. So we can only hope they do good work today, and it looks like they got a lucky break in the weather. So, the promised ghost town pictures. Let's see. if I want to show you all in this folder. That's a teaser. Now, mind you, this is 2007, I believe. That was around here. The moonlight fire had just ripped through the area. But I'm not going to get more specific. If you know where this is, don't be saying so in the chat, please, or the comments, because the idea is I protect these sites with anonymity. I'm just giving a sampler of a bunch of these sites. I don't want to be, saying that there's like, oh, here's where it is. Go take the artifacts, So Josh says now there's a flash flood warning over the Tamarack fire area. Yeah, the people at Markleyville were just allowed to go home today, or at least go back and look. And the monsoonal stuff has been dumping rain all over LA, I hear, and Las Vegas. It's just like, the song, it never rains in California, but it pours. When it rains, it pours. So whether or not that's a good or bad thing remains to be seen. If it's wet enough, it'll help fire suppression. If it's not, lightning strikes will start new ones. So, that's the nature of the beast here. So that's one of the cabins. Oh no, it keeps opening new windows. I'm going to be clicking things. That's one of the mining towns with one of the cabins collapsed. That was a cookhouse. I guess I have to open these one at a time. This is another one of the old mining cabins. It's a headquarters, I believe, of one of the ghost towns. And here's another. It is illegal to take artifacts, metal detect, and/or take anything or loot these sites. You can take only pictures, please. This little stick right here is a warning that it's illegal. Fines are massive. This is our cultural heritage. Don't take stuff from it. Ghost towns disappear doorknob by doorknob until finally there's nothing left. Here, people had already semi-looted this structure, and they had taken away doors and stripped out sinks and such like that. So, the culture is just like hiking. You leave only footprints. So let's see what else I can show you. Here is a collapsed ore chute. It's over the entrance of a mine, and they used to dump ore down there, and there were collapsed buildings everywhere. I had such a poor resolution camera at the time. Let's see here. Here's some more, one of which was a log cabin that looked like it was a log cabin garage for maybe some trucks. I think this operated until about the 40s, which is when most towns went ghost, when gold mining was halted once Pearl Harbor came. If you're just tuned in, go ahead and ask any questions. I'm showing historical assets that are in danger from this fire. Here's another view of a different cabin. This is the opposite end of the ore chute. Just amazing that this stuff is still standing after all those many years being completely buried in snow in the winter and cooked in the summer. Here's another one of the log cabins. Who knows how much longer it'll be standing? The high winds up there. This is extremely high elevation. This is above Indian Valley. Ripped the roofs off, just with the windstorms, and then the snow goes directly into the buildings. So I don't know what the current status of this is. These are photos from 2006. I got into the hotel. I'm looking out the roof of a hotel. There's still abandoned hotels in the woods up here. And see, here's another one of the cabins. These dot the landscape. When I say that there is a lot to lose, I mean that there is a lot to lose. A lot of history and heritage is up there. If you have a vehicle brave enough to face the 4x4 conditions and the hair-raising it's not for the claustrophobic or the people who would look over the edge. If you're driving up there, you don't want to be looking over the edge. These narrow roads were built for wagons, literally, with mule teams, and Jeeps barely fit on them. And if you look down the side, you'll just have a heart attack. I've had to switch driving, because the driver's side is on the side with the mountain as you go up, and as you go down, I blindfold myself and have somebody else drive. I can't look over the side. It's just like, oh God, I can't do it, depending on what direction we're going. So here's another view from the inside. This is the cabin that didn't have the roof anymore, and who knows what it looks like now. So looking back now, Josh says there's a park fire in Tulare County. Okay, yeah, that's not good. I want to show a couple more of these. This is a burned out fire truck. I don't know if it responded to the moonlight fire and they got overwhelmed, or if this was just in the area. A lot of times firefighters put really old vehicles for firefighting in an area just to kind of be a vehicle where they store stuff, and they can go back and yank the hose off of it. And sometimes it even seems like the vehicles may not even run, but it's like, did they just station them there or tow them there? It was real sad to see that classical vehicle. It even has a fire department seal, I believe, on it, but they got overwhelmed at the time. So the interior of some of these places are incredible. This is a winch house for winching out cable. And it operated an elevator and a mine shaft, and shafts go straight up and down. This is the interior of a hotel where the walls were starting to crumble apart, but the frame was still okay. Just lots of neat stuff. Lots of neat stuff in there. And you can see the remains of the old bed mattresses and such. Campers used to hike up there and use these as a shelter. And then the animals got to the bedding, and I could see even little paw prints on it where they just shredded it. The raccoons made it a home. Here's the back of that truck. And this isn't current. This is the moonlight fire of 06 or so. That damage a year later was still evident. So let's see, what else can I show you? But there's a lot of stuff up there. Where's the Grand Hotel shot? I may not have that here. Yeah, and this is the state of, this was what I was talking about. This is supposed to be a road. Like you look at a topo map, that's supposed to be a road. You may see, oh, maybe I could evacuate on that. Well, it disappears off into that tree and it ends right there, and that's it. If this is moist at all, this is mud, or it doesn't exist anymore. By now, I mean, this is 06. There could be tons of trees growing up in it. This is the faint outline of an ancient road that was there in the 1800s, and that's all that remains of it. And they disappear. Suddenly there's like a muddy pit, and you look in all directions, and it's like a meadow. You look down, and it's supposed to continue, and it doesn't. You go, oh crap. So that's what I mean. I had planned to take that road to another mining camp. No, that wasn't going to happen. Here's another shot of a different place. There is a lot to lose as far as historical assets go. Quite a lot. So, if you would like to support my work, I'm going to put my email in the chat. I'm supposed to be promoting myself. It's catherine.davidson.wildfires@gmail.com. If you have short stories and photos you want to share, or links or something you think I should cover, go ahead and give me an email there. And I'm also accepting donations for a camera, so I can basically be a one-man camera crew, one lady, and go and document these historical assets, interview survivors, and make fire survival videos, and cover the aftermath here. All those places I just showed you are at risk for this current fire. They may not survive. And here I was with a crappy digital camera that was barely, at 6 megapixels at the time. Imagine what I could do with a 4K camera that can see in the dark. You can send money to me, donations via my email. If you use things like PayPal and whatnot, email should be all you need. And I thank you for every little $5 I get. When I cover fires, I have to stop my life, and I'm not working to cover them. So bear in mind, I won't need to give money first to fire victims, and I come second. But to continue my work, I do need the funds to get down there. A lot of these places will not survive. This is the road to some of the ghost towns that I just showed you. I went there after a fire. Every structure I just showed you is what firefighters saved. They made a heroic stand. They ringed these little mining towns up there, and they stayed put. They just wet down the buildings, wetted down their engines, and let the inferno rage around them. And this is what the landscape looked like all around them. What they do is nothing short of heroic, but they won't be able to do this forever. They did lose some of the historic structures in '06. There were a ton more lost in the recent fires. And if we want to see shots like this, there's a limited amount of time before nature reclaims them one way or another. We lose them one way or another. So I need a camera to go document them. I know many secret places. So I promise you, I'll give you cool stuff to watch. And it may be the last documentation of these places before they're gone. This is Indian Valley. There are bison. At least there was when I was there in '06. I really need that horizon tilt bothers me, but this is the landscape. This is the place they're doing battle. And it already looked like this before. That was in '06. This place is ravaged by fire again and again and again. So I need to get out there and document them before they disappear, because look at this. Inside of the historical hotel, I found people out hiking for the day, but look at their propane. They were cooking inside of the hotel, the historical hotel. I left them a note and said, dudes, please don't. There's my disapproving mom, in the distance here. I said, I didn't take your stuff. I didn't mess with your stuff. But I have to say I disapprove. Please don't bring open flame inside historical structures. Thank you. This is what you deal with. This is how we're gonna lose things. Be fire safe, people. Just only you can prevent. And you know the rest. Okay, let's look at the park fire in Tulare County. Does anybody have a fire they want me to cover? Yikes. This is a courtesy of Edison. There's another power company that was suspected of starting the Bobcat fire. This is the most ironic thing. It's punishment. These companies are ordered by courts to put up fire monitoring cams because they start so many. That's generally how this works. It's not courtesy of, it's because we have to bring it to you. A judge told us to. Sometimes I want to put a little sticker on there that says, this fire is also brought to you by whatever power company's up there. But enough bitterness. Let's go to 6-hour time lapse and see what's going on. This is east of Exeter. At this point, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But when does it get bad? There. So that was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30, 4. Wow. So that is current. That's a developing situation over there in Tulare County. We're now looking at live images. That's just what we need. So definitely confirmed fire start there in Tulare County. Fingers crossed. Maybe some of the aircraft can be diverted. Let's see if the aircraft are responding. Where's the nearest town? I'll just type in Exeter. Thank you so much, Josh, for being on that. Well, come on. I'm not looking for an airport. Well, maybe we are. Will it take us near? Okay, that's England. No, that's exactly not there. Okay, to air. Really? All right. Sacramento. Okay, I'm just going to click on the airport. It will take us back to California at least. Are you kidding me? All right. Now let me orient myself. I'm not that familiar with that county. Let's look at our cam. Where's the... Yep, not that cam. Going back. Oh, Fresno. Yeah, okay. Porterville. Gotcha. All right. Let's see if we got the Fresno. I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at my tiny monitor, and I just screen capture the whole monitor, and I gotta lean over. I'm not at all seeing this. This is like 9-point font to me from where I'm at in my chair. So there we go. Okay, Fresno. Fresno, where's the... Okay. So this aircraft is FedEx. It is not at all fire responding. Okay. These just look like normal. They just look like normal craft. So hopefully they'll get a handle on that. Maybe they could send response aircraft. That would be the best thing. Oh wait, I'm in the wrong spot still, guys. Sorry, didn't zoom in. Yes, Forest Service equipment. Okay, craft is approaching. Excellent. Okay, maybe we can even see that. If we keep updating, we might be able to even see the craft making drops if we keep this on the 1 minute thing. Mike says, when will the smoke clear out of Portola? That's a great question. With the new unstable air stuff coming, it's hard to know what the wind is going to do, but KCRA did a really cool sort of prediction for the next couple of days. Any info on Quincy? Yeah, things are looking good, knock on wood. They had a very rosy update for us, the east side. If you look at, I just played the video about half an hour ago to an hour ago. The East Division, Dennis was saying that he was very happy with the dozer lines going around Bucks Lake, and that they were pretty happy with the way that the fire was blowing away from Quincy towards the northeast in general, and that they were protecting Indian Valley up above Taylorsville and Greenville and putting in new dozer lines. And they did some firing of the hillsides, just like I predicted before, up those hillsides. So they're making a lot of scorched earth up on the areas above Greenville and Taylorsville, and they're going to try to stop it on the ridgeline, it looks like. So fingers crossed for Indian Valley. Quincy's got the world's worst air pollution at the moment. I feel very bad for anybody there stuck in it. I'm watching the clock. It may be close to the time where I have to go. So I'm debating with myself, we could leave this up here. Aircraft are in the area. It's possible if we keep looking at this cam that we could see some drops, red splashes. But the fact that this takes an image once a minute means that we could have an aircraft just fly by. And if it's not taking an image, we'll miss the vast majority of them. But last year we had a pretty good experience with watching the cams, and we did catch some red splashes. Tamarack update, please. By the way, the E in Tulare is pronounced. Oh, it is. Tulare. Oh, like tularemia, the disease? Whoopsie. I'm sorry. Like Lake Tule. Okay. Sorry about that. I've been to this part of California exactly once. I think I was 5. Um, a Tamarack update. Sure thing. I do need to take a bathroom break. I'm going to leave the camera on, and I'll be back with a Tamarack update. You just sit tight, and I think I've got just enough time to cover that. Be right back, folks. Okay, I'm back, folks. Thanks for being patient with me. I may be running up against the clock here, but I want to cover as much as I can. So first I said I would talk about when the smoke might clear out of Quincy. I don't remember exactly what the weatherman said, but I can give you the link so you can watch that video. It's pretty long, and I may not have time to get to a Tamarack fire update if I focus on the smoke video for too long. So what I'm going to do is link you the video that explains kind of like the general weather forecast, because the weatherman at KCRA was just awesome in explaining it. So let me go back in the off screen to my Facebook page, and I'll hit my saved videos. Because it's actually pretty hard to find. If you go to KCRA on Facebook, it actually is like they post a lot. That's all I gotta say. So let's see. Let's see really quickly. Okay. So stand by. They were talking about the wind and how that really was going to look at the smoke, the temperatures, and everything. So it is something that goes on for 17 minutes. So here is that video. I'm linking it in chat right now. So there you go. And Josh has a new link. Let's check it out for the California Fire Scanner, and then we'll give a update on the Tamarack. So thank you, Josh, again. You're amazing. You're well abreast of these things. You know, I searched for an app that would tell me, like, ooh, new fire spotted, and I can't find one on the face of the planet for Android. You would think that that would exist. That there would at least be a CAL FIRE app or something, and I can't find one. So at this moment, I get notified by fires by just manually checking and refreshing things like social media. That's really not the best way for the public to be informed of new fires. I am making a note here that that has to change. That'll be part of my suggestion. So California Fire Scanner says the Park Fire, 7 miles northeast of Springville, Tulare County, am I saying that right? Reported 20 acres in heavy timber with moderate ROS. Potential for a couple hundred acres. Requested a total of 6 tankers. Closest located near 45260 Bear Creek Road, a conservation camp. It's a new start in the Sierra Boulevard, Porterville. Yeah, not good. So it is striking in the evening hours too, so maybe at night they can just tackle this. The idea behind containing a wildfire when you want to pounce on it is you got to contain it by noon the next day. Otherwise, the chances of getting a handle on it are they just drop like a rock, you know. So fingers crossed that they can. Heck, even putting it out today would be nice if the aircraft could do it. But look at this visibility. It's abysmal. We got that muddy cloud-covered stuff and potential for lightning. Just look at the clouds here. Yeah, look at this system moving in. So, yikes. Do we know what could have caused it yet? Was this where there's been lightning strikes? I imagine it is. I was seeing some lightning strike activity, south of the Tamarack yesterday around that region. But let's get to the Tamarack update before I forget about that and lose time. Josh says Twitter is the only real place that you can find up-to-date info. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I was hoping you'd have a different answer for me, and then I could get a page in the middle of the night and like a fire update so I could cover these things. But, it's something that needs to change. Did you guys see any planes while I was gone? Yeah, I was hoping to see airplane action. Yeah. Well, let's look at the InstaWeb for the Tamarack, and then I want to show you some pictures and things that I had of the Dixie afterwards if time allows. So, in other news, we have horrible news out of Montana. 5 federal firefighters and 3 Fish and Wildlife crew members were burned today. They're hospitalized in stable condition with burn injuries. They sustained them when swirling winds blew a lightning-caused wildfire back on them in eastern Montana. So this is another wake-up call that they're out there doing an extremely dangerous job. They can lose their life and limbs at any moment. We have to celebrate our heroes. Don't expect them to be perfect. You have no idea what kind of conditions they're working in. So let's go back to InstaWeb, and I'll read about the Tamarack, because I haven't been able to look at much of it today. So this is me updating myself as well. So our InstaWeb for the Tamarack, I'm going to keep that looking at Tulare County right now. As I read about the Tamarack, sorry if that is confusing. So the incident overview. Okay, let's go. So we have 45% containment. There's flash flood warnings in the area because of that monsoonal, whatever they're calling it, flash flood stuff that came in from Arizona. I think some of it's split apart. Some of it headed for LA, some of it's headed for Vegas, and some of it's heading this way, up the spine of the California mountains. So it's 45% containment, 67,000 acres and some change, the Tamarack. There's still 16,000 personnel on it. The significant events have been active fire, crowning, short crown runs, uphill runs, fires burning in mixed conifer, pinyon juniper, brush, and high rates of speed. Crowning, torching, and running fire behavior is short to mid-range spotting. That could change. That could become long-range spotting with high winds. So fingers crossed that it doesn't. Let's look at the current weather. Today's weather was mostly cloudy with scattered showers and thunderstorms. High temps around 89. Minimum relative humidity was 20%. Yeah. At least it's not in the teens. Still not good. Upslope 5 to 8 mile an hour winds with gusty outflow winds over the fire area today, and those gusts reaching 45 miles per hour. The night will be clear with smoke at the Tamarack fire. Minimum temperature 50 or 60, that's good. Max humidity 45 to 55%, that's good. It recovers a bit. Localized down canyon winds. Monday, partly cloudy, becoming mostly cloudy with numerous thunderstorms, potential for heavy rains. So we'll see if that happens. It looks like it's getting darker in the general area of California here. And high temps up to 88. Minimum relative humidity 25 to 35%. A little bit of improvement. Still a very dry feeling storm. Upslope 4 to 8 mile an hour winds. Winds west-southwest 8 to 13 miles an hour. Gusting to 20 in the afternoon, which should be about now, and into the evening. So the outlook for the Tamarack. Branch 1. Hold the fire south of China Spring. Secure Highway 395 Slopover. Secure structures on 395 Topaz Ranch Estates and Topaz Lake, which is over there in Nevada. They got devastated, I hear. I have not been able to see too many photos, but I mean, what we saw was bad. Branch 2, keep the fire north of Highway 89. Monitor the pass between Highway 395 and Highway 4. Branch 3, hold the fire south of Highway 88. Mind you, this is the Tamarack if you just turned in. Hold the fire south of 88. Secure structures in Crystal Springs. Hold the fire east of the Rocky Spine Ridge. Structure, secure them along Highway 395, Spring Valley, and Holbrook. I'm so glad that Holbrook pretty much was saved from what we saw with the structure loss map. Night operations, patrol and secure structures along 88 and 395. They'll conduct fire operations as conditions allow through Branch 1 and 3. I don't know the conditions are going to allow. I mean, look at this nasty weather coming in. It's darkening by the minute. It shouldn't be dark right now at 4:49 p.m. Just look how dark it is on all these cams. That's a lot of smoke and a lot of clouds. It's not even 5. Sunset is what, 8:23? Yeah. I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. The best laid plans of mice and men, so to speak. So, I think flash floods are just going to be nightmarish because where's the vegetation? It's gone right now. So, it's a double whammy. We saw that at Paradise. The first time I tried to enter Paradise right after the event, I was pushed out of there by flash floods. We were driving over bridges, like before the bridges might be washed away. There's an old Roman saying from the ancient world: great rains generally fall after great battles. And it seems like it holds true with firefighting too. So Tamarack projected incident activity. The next 12 hours, there will be active fire behavior, primarily backing and flanking, which is a lot less fierce. Outflow winds from thunderstorms could cause erratic and extreme fire behavior, however. For the next 24 hours, continued active fire behavior. Fire spread is primarily backing and flanking to the south. But let's check that out on maps, because I'm tired of looking at that ugly mess. All right, let's go down to Tamarack. Let me inch over there from Tahoe. Yeah, we can see activity here in the south up on the ridges. Isn't that by the Leviathan mine? Isn't that Leviathan Mine Road? Hopefully, on its Leviathan Peak, that they will be able to secure that Superfund cleanup site, because it's literally a quarry filled up with water that was where they mined sulfur, and it's full of sulfuric acid. And it keeps discharging into the Carson River, which is the drinking water supply out here for Carson City. And it was melting rocks and leaching the lead out and arsenic out of the rocks. And poor Topaz Lake here, excuse me, I misspoke. Holbrook wasn't saved. Holbrook had loss. I was confusing it with over here. I'm so sorry. With Woodford's. So sorry, I just got them mixed up in my head. They did a good job at Woodford's and they stopped it here. But Holbrook took a beating. And anybody saying, no, we got burned out, I'm so sorry. I've seen some of the images and they were bad. So let's look at Leviathan Mine. If they've just spent millions cleaning up the mine. I can't see what I'm typing. It's that tiny. Leviathan. There. Yeah, it's right here. So we've got heat detections near it. And they said yesterday that they were making it a priority. The defense of it. So I don't know if that's them burning the hillside on purpose, or if that was where spot fires happened. They said it was proceeding south, and this is south. So the Leviathan mine is in the crosshairs, it looks like. And I would imagine there's a lot of personnel trying to protect the Superfund site and make sure that those holding retaining dams and whatever they have in place to keep back the sulfuric acid pond, to keep that from going into the water supply will hold. Because that's one heck of an environmental disaster. It basically used to kill all fish and was poisoning people. So fingers crossed for that situation. People were allowed to go back into Markleyville today, and people said it was like a bomb went off in the region. That it was pretty devastated. And from what we saw live when we were monitoring it that night with that incredible, Matthew, was it Henderson's videos on Facebook? I'm going to link you guys to him. Matthew Henderson. He's a journalist who's now on the Dixie fire, and he showed us what was happening to Markleyville live that night. So he occasionally is incorrect as he's doing live coverage because he, doesn't have the best cell phone reception. He kind of seems to shoot the coverage, shoot the fire, and then get somewhere where he can upload it. And he doesn't have the same vantage point that we do, where we see, the Twitter feeds constantly. And he, on accident, said that the fire had reached, the Almanor-Prattville area and got people concerned. But, I was there to inform people that it was, lit on purpose. He just didn't realize it. So his pictures and images, though, like showing us what's going on, have been absolutely unparalleled. And he's doing a great job with running around in a pickup. He's done really helpful things here too, such as notifications. He's talked about Greenville, which is east of Genesee, back at the Dixie fire. He made this helpful illustration that until they set up new evacuation areas, that people should camp in this area by the post office. And he's given us some amazing images. He's an excellent photographer. So here he was in danger too. He ran with the firefighters away from the flare up at Paxton and when they had to get out of Indian Falls. And his content, I just linked it in chat. It just can't be beat. ABC 10 as well has gotten some incredible content. I mean, look at what he shot in the Feather River Canyon. It's just unbelievable. And here they are doing some of the firing ops. I believe this was by Lake Almanor, and he did the live coverage. But just he does incredible work. But that's days ago. That's 24th. And when I say that the firefighters are working steep and inaccessible, nightmarish terrain, I mean it. This is how bad it is. I mean, how are you supposed to drive up there, drag a hose up there? And look at all the power lines snaking up the landscape. When I say it's aircraft only, that's what we mean. Only aircraft could go up there and put something like that out. So when it's too smoky for aircraft to put something out up there, it doesn't get put out up there. The train, as nice as that is more of a desperation, a desperate attempt to save the train tracks and critical infrastructure. But the media portrays it as like being able to somehow fight this fire in the canyon, and it can only protect the tracks. It's very limited in what it can do. It's one of those things where you gotta have a reality check. The fire train is a sign of desperation, not really of hope. I mean, it's not all bad, but we gotta stay real. So it's high elevation. Just that's what the community is surrounded with up there. If people don't evacuate, that's what you'll see out your window. There are very few valleys. Indian Valley is one of the exceptions. Mostly all the terrain up there is these strips of highway that are right next to these rocky slopes, and the firefighters have a great possibility of being trapped at any moment. Any little rock fall, any tree that's big on the slopes that can come crashing down can completely trap them where they have no way in, no way out, and they'll be running down there for the water as their only hope of survival. We're getting up underneath culverts and such. Like, they're in an extremely dangerous, precarious position. We can't criticize them at all. They're doing whatever they can. If you were staring at the elephant like this too, and fleeing like he was and these fire crews were, you wouldn't be stopping to save structures or trying to. It's not possible. In extreme fire behavior, it's not possible. It's a wall of flames. What are you going to do with a little hose? And just enough water on the back of a truck. That truck will be melted before you can do anything. You got to go. So that's Matthew Henderson's work. He sometimes goes live. And ABC 10 has been incredible as well. And some of the pictures out here is just unbelievable. So let's go see if we have eyes on the Tamarack with the cameras. We can go back now to Tahoe. That's that developing fire in Tulare County. And let's check out our Hawkins Peak. This is overview of the Tamarack fire from the California side. It's now a Nevada affair as well. Incredible sunrises and sunsets. This is a 12-hour time lapse. This is 8. That was a nice sunrise. This is 9 o'clock. Welcome, Malcolm. And Max, I'm looking back at chat. Carson River also feeds Yerington Farm District and Walker Lake. Yeah, you don't want extra lead in your crops, you know. Crops absorb minerals, and so if you have lead in the water and you irrigate your crops, you don't want that. Let's see, tobacco, the plant isn't actually particularly carcinogenic. When they grow tobacco in a hydroponic laboratory environment, they struggle to get mice full of lung cancer when they make mice smoke cigarettes. But when you plant tobacco in soil, it's one of those plants that is super duper, along with hemp. It's sucking up massive amounts of minerals out of the soil. And so what tobacco does is it sucks up polonium, which is radioactive and found in much of the soil of the South, where they unfortunately mined a bunch of, it wasn't phosphates. Maybe it was phosphates, but they put that in fertilizer and it was contaminated with natural radioactive polonium in the soil. And, the tobacco sucked that up and concentrated itself in the plant. Then you had nuclear fallout from all the nuclear tests contaminating the soil of the world, and it was just eager to suck that up too. Then you had people smoking throughout the 40s, 50s, and 60s after the nuclear test era began, and then all of a sudden it's lung cancer city. Plus, at the time, we had lead. We had lead burning gasoline, and the reason they banned it is the fumes were putting aerosolized lead into the atmosphere, which fell back down as fallout and contaminated the soil of the world. And they started getting higher and higher concentrations of lead in the soil, and they went, whoops, time to ban that too. And so you get poor smokers of that era. You know, the amount of radiation and such that was in cigarettes and somewhat still is today was the equivalent of 250 chest x-rays a year. And that was on the lower end of the spectrum. So let's see here. That's what plants do. That's why you don't want contaminated water when you irrigate. We can't really see the fire. We can see the weather, though. We can see the weather at the Tamarack fire. Is not particularly good. And it's somewhere off in the distance. Let's just check all cams right now and see if we can see anything. And then I'm looking out the window. I've got to go. I have to go photograph something, and I'm losing the light. So last call for questions and answer time. I can share the other things I was going to share. Oh, does anyone know if Quincy's out of danger? Knock on wood. Yeah, it's safe for now. Knock on wood. If you go back, I'm going to link it to you right now. Mike Smith, they talk about on the first of all, they had aircraft today. Check this out. Yeah. So that happened, and if you go to not just Cal Fire, but go to Plumas Sheriff's Office. Let me get you that link. That is where the two videos I had earlier in today in this broadcast before, after I fixed my sound issues. Those were. Here's the link. Those were talking about what they were doing to protect Quincy and Greenville, and everything looks pretty good. So click on Dennis's video and then the other one from earlier, which is 7 a.m. in the morning. So but they're happy with their Bucks Lake containment going along. The dozer lines are looking peachy down there. Barring an unforeseen new fire starting or some crazy weather event, they're happy with what they're able to accomplish and optimistic. In the Quincy area, it's just a bowl of smoke right now, unfortunately. And they were happy with their efforts to protect Taylorsville with lighting the backfires up the hills. That was a success. And they are working and tying in the last of the dozer lines here in between. And They did a precautionary mandatory evacuation order for the east side of the lake here, just in case the giant pyrocumulus clouds, the volcanic column thing, develop again, because that could throw embers a long distance. And the reason I believe they evacuated here rather than, say, the peninsula, which is on watch, is because the peninsula has multiple ways out, multiple roads, and there is only one. There's only one for East Shore. And that's just a handful of cabins there. That is not a big community. That's like 15 almost. Maybe they built it up a little bit more since I've been there, but in reality, it's very, very few structures. Very, as far as evacuations go, there wasn't going to be a traffic jam. So the fiercest battle is on the west side over here, where they're struggling with that extreme terrain. I mean, all you got to do is throw on the shader right here and just see how steep that is. And fires are just racing up those hills and whatnot. So as the weather becomes unstable, and this fire's columns are going to grow because it's going to get more wind. It's going to have fiercer activity. Nobody knows what will happen. The biggest danger to Quincy, like I keep telling people, or any other community, is look what happened with the fly fire when there wasn't even that much wind. It raced. It found a hillside and it raced up it, and it overwhelmed anybody's response. They just got out of its way. It was just like that. So if lightning were to strike around Quincy or any other place like that, it would be dire really quick. It would be pure luck. The only way to save a place in the path of the fire in a wind event would be having fire crews respond within 10 minutes or even sooner, like being right there to put it out. The torching videos that I've seen where fire races up the trees to the tops is the fastest I've ever seen. Not that I have seen it in the flesh, but as far as videos about fire behavior, I couldn't believe what I've seen. They were living green trees, and they were acting just like the fire videos where you light a Christmas tree on fire that hasn't had water for 3 months in a living room, as a demonstration of Christmas tree fires. I mean, it was like that. I mean, it was 1 foot tall, and then it was 25 feet tall in like 3 seconds. So, yeah, Max Smith in chat says, monsoonal moisture will bring rain to all parts of California in the next 2.5 days. Yeah. Rain to all parts of California. All? You mean like all? That would be news to me. There will be increased dry lightning strikes from this system concerns highest in Northern California. Okay. Malcolm says, suggestion, please demo the air quality index and Air Now site. Gives us an idea of the smoke. Sure, I'll be happy to do that. Let's see. So it's Air Now. Cool. We have a new resource then. Thank you for informing me about that. So let's see. Well, there you go. Dang. It's off the chart. It broke the meter. There's no bad beyond very bad. But if there was a bad beyond very bad, it's just like that Chernobyl quote. Oh, 26 Rockins. It's not good, but it's not great. It's not bad. In reality, it was like 500 or whatever. Because they're, I don't know what Rockins, but you know what I mean. The quote is, oh, well, it's only 20, as far as the radiation meter goes. And that's only because it only measured to 20. It was 500. Everybody was getting mega dosed and their hair started to fall out. So that's kind of like the same situation here. We just don't have air quality monitors that go worse than that. It's worse, pretty much the worst in the world right now. I hear Siberia and Canada are on fire. They're probably equaling it. Is there a map? There. Dang. So abysmal. It's beyond the AQI. Parts per million, 2.5, 529. Values above 500 are beyond the index. Everybody should stay indoors and reduce activity levels, except for, the firefighters working 16-hour shifts for 16 days in a row. That is typically their workload, and then they have to take a week off at least, but they're breathing it constantly and they're working that hard. With shovels and stuff. They're pulling hose line that's hundreds of pounds. Nobody can criticize what they're doing. You go out and try it. I got exhausted after I picked up a trunk or two and loaded a car. I sat down breathless. And I'm an athlete with extremely healthy lungs. I have a huge lung capacity because I've never smoked and did track and field, swam, played saxophone, and scuba dived. I'm the kind of person who can hold my breath and swim to the opposite end of the swimming pool and back without surfacing. And I was out of breath after loading a couple trunks into a car. I can't tell you how bad it is, that working condition. We have to support them and say, hey, you guys are doing a good job, because they need it. They are. They're not going to be perfect. They're not going to be able to save everything. But look what the conditions they're dealing with. And I just can't stress that enough. It's dire. Everything about the situation is on the cusp of being extremely, extremely bad to nightmare, borderline apocalyptic. We are one huge windstorm away from apocalyptic, like the Paradise type fire, like the Bear type fire with fire movement. This is the same terrain. This is the same place that it started. We could have another event like that if this isn't tied up and wrapped up before a major wind event. All wildfires are a race against time to contain before a major wind event. Because when extreme fire conditions happen like that, you just have to get out of the way. There's nothing to do. So first comes containment, where they ring it and they stop its movement. Control doesn't happen until they can secure the fire and prevent embers from blowing past the containment lines. So there's two steps. People think that containment and control is the same thing. There's two steps. They're not even at 20% containment yet. There's a long way to go. I may have misspoken, actually. Yeah, 22% containment. It's now nearly 200,000 acres. It's huge. So could this become, it's already a beast. Could it become a mega monster? Yeah, it's got the potential. And so does every other fire in California right now, honestly. So it's going to be critical these days. Max Smith says these weather systems are coming from the east, Arizona and Nevada, where there's been flooding. Yeah, Arizona just got slammed. Vegas just got slammed. Markleeville is getting slammed with flash flood warnings right now. It'll take 3 to 6 weeks to shut down the Dixie fire and put it out. I'm reading chat, at least. If we were lucky. If it blows across Indian Valley, we're looking at months. That's my well, not just a prediction. It's probably I'm probably underestimating. It's sometimes fires are so big, it's the rains of November that put them out. That's what happened with the Tillamook burn in 1933. That's what happened with the Beachy Creek and stuff in Oregon last year. It was the rains. They never did contain it. It got rained out. The Echo Complex, the Beachy Creek, the others, the Lion's Head and stuff, the one in Clackamas County, which names escapes me. I think that was the Riverside. They got rained out. We watched it live on the channel. I almost got struck by lightning that same night. So fingers crossed. This could be very good. It could be very bad. It depends on how much rain is happening. Shelters are open in Quincy, Red Bluff, Susanville, and Chester. And there's another one at Grayville right now. There's also one at Red Bluff, Orville. Orville, you can go to Church of the Nazarene. That would be better air quality for damn sure. So let's look back at that air quality map. But they're saying that you got to watch the KCRA thing I linked. In fact, I'm going to Guys, I have to go. I'm sorry. I'm losing the light for photography. I have to go right now. But go to the link in chat, the KCRA link, and it's going to tell you about the smoke outlook. Oregon's Willamette Valley is going to get some of the smoke, and it's going to settle into the valley in Northern California too. But they talk about when that'll clear up and when we might get relief too. But it's a very long video. KCRA explains it the best. Heck, where did I put that? Do I still have it? No, that's Plumas County Sheriff. Hang on. I've got 65 tabs open. There it is. Click on this link that's in chat. This will explain everything you need to know about the smoke from an expert who knows about the weather. And it's a good weather forecast too. So, I've got a little bit of time. Okay, anybody else have questions for question and answer time? Go ahead. Flash flood warning. Yeah. Yep, that's what we've been discussing. It's in the Tamarack burn scar. And guys, I would like to show you an app. It's called Emergency, and it's by the Red Cross. So this is what notified me about the flash flood warning. You go to Android Emergency App Red Cross, and it'll be in the Google Play Store. Or you can visit a site like this. And this one has been really good. It doesn't tell you about a wildfire coming, which just irks me real bad. It really, really irks me. It's just so bad. But as far as weather alerts, it pushes them right to you with extreme reliability. It's one of the best. Where is it? It's in the Play Store. Yeah, Emergency right here. It's going to look like this in the Play Store. I don't know what it is for Mac. So what you want to do with it is give it all the permissions at once. Make sure your GPS is activated. And then you click on it. I'll give you guys a rundown of how to work this at some other time. But you can monitor multiple places at once. And you'll monitor hurricanes, tornado warnings, flash floods, those kinds of advisories, high wind warnings, red flag warnings, everything that you can need, even tsunami, just depending on where you live. And you click the buttons to configure your alerts. It's pretty straightforward and easy to use. And once you set it, you forget it. This is the best app that I've seen for these kind of alerts. And I just pull on my hair, like, really? You didn't add wildfire? Okay. But hopefully they will in the future. It's extremely reliable. Just A++ is my rating here. So you can do it for any zip code. So you can monitor your family. You can have as many alerts as you want. So I have, Magalia here. I've got Portland. I've got Seattle. I put Markleyville on here, and it told me a flash flood warning earlier this afternoon. If there's a red flag warning, then that's when I start monitoring for fires. It told me about that, about the bootleg fires. So when I put Klamath Falls on there, so I keep this on your phone. This is not just for fire season. This is like the best app to have on your phone for survival that I know of for like early information. The next one would be NOAA Weather by Pandemonium Software. Pandemonium Software. It has alerts too. Less reliable. And weather from the government. The third one would be Radar Now. Not Radar Now. Let me check before I start talking out of my rear here. It's called My Radar. So I'll show that to you as well. And at any moment I'll get a knock on the door. Probably within 10 minutes. It's this one. The one that has this icon. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. This one. My Radar by Acme. I have the Pro version. It's beautiful. So clear, so crisp, so concise. Just shows you, hey, here's the pull down menu. It shows you the forecast. And then the wind is the most beautiful thing. It goes on watches, smart watches. The wind looks like this. It's color coded and it's beautiful. It's mesmerizing. It could be amazing. It has everything a pilot needs. It's got pilot charts, everything a fisherman needs or somebody at sea, and it's got your radar. This is absolutely wonderful. So this is the other thing I recommend. Then it'll say and read out things like flood. You can just look at the map and it'll have an orange area on the map, and you click on it and it discusses what the problem is. So I'm going to look at Markleyville on mine right now, and I will read you what Markleyville is facing, for example, just as a demo. You guys can't see my phone, I know. And I'm working on the ability to share it with the screen. You know, at least I can draw now. Holy crap, I'm seeing lightning strikes right now live all over the western shore of Lake Tahoe. Dang. Okay, the weather is worsening by the second. We have fierce winds going due east from Truckee towards Carson City, and massive amounts of lightning strikes everywhere around Truckee. Holy mackerel. So yeah, get this app, guys. I'm going to go down to look at Markleyville, and you hit layers, and when I do that, I'm going to put on warnings. Yeah, I've got those. Wildfires is on, high definition radar. Yeah, warnings is on. The flash flood warning should be there. Gotta adjust my layers. Okay, there's one. Yep, it says flash flood watch, wildfire Tamarack. So valid from 1 p.m. today until 9. It says 3 hours and 37 minutes remaining in the flash flood watch. Not a warning, excuse me, just a watch. A watch means very likely to happen. A warning means is happening. That's what a lot of people don't understand. So this is just a watch. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Warning doesn't mean, oh, this might happen. It means it's happening. This is a watch. Greater Lake Tahoe area, Mono County, Greater Lake Tahoe area, Greater Reno, Carson City, Minden area, Truckee, Virginia City, the State Line, Tahoe, Bridgeport, Glenbrook, Incline Village, Sparks, Gardnerville, South Lake Tahoe, Colville, Markleyville, Mammoth Lakes, and Verdi. And Lee Vining. Flash flood watch in effect until 9. The National Weather Service in Reno has issued watch for portions of east central California and western Nevada, including the areas I just listed. Slow-moving hybrid-type thunderstorms could produce short periods of heavy rainfall over steeper terrain in and around past and current burn scars. Recently burned areas from the Tamarack Fire between US 395 and 89 in and around the communities of Spring Valley and Holbrook Junction could be most impacted by locally heavy rainfall and flooding. Precautionary preparedness actions. You should monitor the forecast and be prepared to take action should flash flood warnings be issued. Remember, this is a watch and a warning means it's happening. Turn around and don't drown. Wow, it actually said that. Turn around and don't drown. That means don't drive through a flood, no matter how shallow it looks. I can't emphasize that enough. Because it may look shallow, but if the road is washed out in front of you, there could be a sinkhole 6 feet deep, and your car could disappear in it, be lifted up, carried away, and thrown upside down before you even have time to say, holy crap. Don't drive through a flood. The vast, vast majority of people that die in floods die in their cars. Don't drive through a flood, no matter how shallow it looks. You can't see through it. So, as Samuel L. Jackson would say in Jurassic Park, California, hold on to your butts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But maybe this will rain some of it out. You never know. All right, looking back at the chat, Malcolm. Oh, Dana, welcome. Just joined. What are the chances of Amador Peninsula burning? That's a big question mark. You know what? They did a good job of protecting it so far, because that's what this line is. They lit this area on fire right here by the snowmobile and mass campground area, which is more of a, like I said, a snowmobile trail area. There's no cabins or things in this area. It's the road on the way to Butte Lake. So they decided to turn that into Belgium and scorch earth that. And that was very successful. You can see them continuing down Humbug and Humboldt roads down this way. And they're making a line of pre-burned area so that when the fire reaches it, it stops. That's the goal. The reason they did this so far from the shore, like they could have done it at the highway. The reason they did this was I suspected with my last stream that they want it stopped way back here so the embers can't reach all the way up there. You know, that would be the thing. This is a greater distance than this. So, basically I speculated on that. And when they got on the early morning update it's earlier in my stream that I played it, but you could see it on Plumas County Sheriff's Office and CAL FIRE, I believe, Facebook pages, or rewind my tape. And they explained that that is what they did, and that is to protect the peninsula and this area, because I predict, and it's almost like a common sense thing, if the fire gets over to the Moonlight area, the Moonlight Valley, which is that technically, but this is the Moonlight area, this is going to be one hell of a thing to put out. That would take months. I don't know how they do it. That's the nightmare scenario. They have to keep it out of the valley. They can't let it go up here. They can't let it go here. They can't let it escape here. So they're working very hard. They've got good lines in place here and here, and they're working to connect them right now as we speak with dozer lines. And then they've been firing the hillside above Greenville and above Taylorsville. And they've had very good success. They're trying to stop the fly portion of the fire, which is just a nickname these days. And it's all merged into one. They've been trying to stop it right here by firing up the hillside here, which is a good strategy. The people who have criticized it don't understand one very important thing. You do light the hillside on fire when the winds are calm at night to try to make scorched earth. You do it when the winds are calm, even if it's slightly risky, because it's going to be lit on fire anyway. If you can't stop the fire's progress in any other way, which they haven't been able to, the dozer lines aren't complete. This was a brand new fire, took them by surprise. It's in a new area. And if you can't do it with aircraft, you don't have any other options. You can either let the hillside be on fire during the day when the winds are fierce, when the fire wants to move that way. It's going to burn anyway. There isn't a choice about it of whether or not it will burn. It's going to. Are you going to do it on your own terms when you can control it? Or are you going to let the fire do it on its own terms and react to it? There's really only one thing to do. So I'm glad they seized the opportunity, and I'm glad we had the opportunity the last few nights of pretty calm wind. So, looking back at the chat, like 911 responders, the firefighters are going to have awful consequences years from now for $12 an hour. Yes, you're right, Malcolm. We have to support them. They're breathing in the world's worst quality air, and cancer is the #1 cause of death and illness in firefighters. It's not dying in a fire. It's retiring and getting a bad test at the doctor's office. So we don't know what the chances are that Peninsula will burn. Now that they've taken action, it's a lot less. But they evacuated Elmore East because, and I approve of this, unlike the Peninsula, which has got little roads out, and plenty of places for people to shelter and water if they're remaining there. East Eleanor, the little community right there, doesn't. There's really no way to climb this if roads existed that weren't gated. I believe they're all logging roads that are gated, and that would take you hours to climb up into it. No kidding. I mean, that's a climb of like 3,200 feet from the shore. That's one of the tallest mountains around here. There's no escape that way. The fire would catch you. So they tend to prioritize mandatory evacuations from the most vulnerable places that have one way out, and that is one highway. unless you have a boat. And even that, I mean, what if your engine doesn't start? That's one heck of a paddle. Those are freezing waters. Like, if you took shelter up to your chin, like I advise people to do, you could be sitting there just freezing and getting hypothermia while you watch the shore burn and have sunburn on your face. It's not comfortable. It's not good. I mean, that would be a last resort, getting to the lake. You'd better have a wool blanket and stuff, because you could crawl out of there and basically not be warm enough, especially when the temperature drops at night. Like, I can't tell you, it's all snow melt, and it's cold as hell. Even when it is 100 degrees, you swim like 6 feet below the surface, and you start trembling. It's like, oh God, it's hideous. Year round, it's hideously cold. So I approve of their precautions. I think they are doing everything that they can do. They're slamming the west side with aircraft right now, and fingers crossed that they can get a lot done before the weather turns. Let's look at the aircraft. They probably are wrapping it up for the day with this weather turning. Let's go back up here. Real unfortunate that new fire started in Tulare County right now, right about the end of the day for aircraft, as it's getting darker and the weather's turning. So they've still got it in the area. The planes are still buzzing around. So fingers crossed. I don't know how much true daylight they have. Let's check a cam again. Any moment the knock on the door comes, so any and all questions, last call. Session timed out. Yeah, see, visibility is fading. Let's look at the current. Well, they still got a little. Up there at the Dixie, they still got a little bit of visibility. It's looking real dark at the other cams. I mean, that storm is rolling in south of Tahoe. And it'll be there pretty soon. It looks like it's somewhat swiftly moving. I'm going to look down at my phone again. I'm going to leave this on here for a second. That's a live image. It'll update every 30 seconds to 1 minute. So yeah, it's kind of replaying on my phone, sort of. It's significantly south. It's the north end of the storm. The lightning, the big band of heavy rain, is just at Truckee down to Placerville in sort of a line. Windy might show us that. Windy is not as good looking as the app that I'm looking at. It's similar to this. It's just not as good looking. So we would go over to radar and hit weather radar like that. See how it's down there by Placerville and Truckee. And there's lots of lightning. You can see the little ripples of lightning all over. Yeah, Windy isn't showing as many as the other app is. It's just going on the other app. So it may be that I have pressed a button wrong or something. We can make it a 6-hour time lapse. Just see how it came in. And it kind of gives you an idea how, wow, and look at that bad boy down there. That is just full of lightning, and it looks like it's headed for Bridgeport and the Yosemite Valley. We're going to have a fun night. California, hold on to your butts. Canada is not having a good time either. Let's look up at Canada. They don't have the moisture, not much of it at all. And let's see here, let's click it back to wind. But they've got some winds coming off the Pacific, which is going to blow some of their fires right towards where my friend lives. I've got a friend in Slocan. He's a retired firefighter, and his lungs are shot. He was a wildland firefighter. And God, hearing him cough is bad. They are making a sacrifice. A big sacrifice. Update on the park fire. Okay, I'm looking back. Sister says I've seen a car floating away in 2 inches of water. God, yeah. It's not the depth, it's the swiftness. It's a pressure, it's a force. And it's your tires not having any traction. So 2 inches of rapidly moving water could just absolutely knock a car off its feet and just get it floating. Once you lose it, steering doesn't work, and all of a sudden you're lifted up and then you're pushed over and you're rolled over. And you can't get your window fast enough down, and as soon as the water hits the electronics in your car, you can't open windows because they short out. You have to break them at that point, or let your car fill 100% full of water in order to have the pressure equalized so you can open the door. But as your car is tumbling and rolling and upside down and colliding with things like boulders and trees and things going by and other cars, sometimes you can't get your car door open. And you're punching through water trying to punch windows. That's why so many people die. You know, you should have that little breakaway device, you know, something with a point on it for freeing yourself from a trapped vehicle. Bash out your windows while you can. And that's your only hope. Because once it's full of water, it's like punching water. You have no strength anymore. Okay, so looking at Twitter, that's an update on the park fire. I see that's the same thing that was issued before with the California fire scanner. I don't see anything new that I didn't read before. It's Tulare County, 20 acres in heavy timber. Right, they requested 6 air tankers to hit it. Yeah, I don't see anything new here. But we got a new fire to track. And with the lightning coming in, let's go back to that lightning weather radar. This is a 6-hour time lapse. 1 hour. Yeah, see that thing by Roswell? Oh, Tanopa's getting slammed again. God, that was a ghost town that has suffered fire recently. I don't know what there's left to say to that place. Here's the 12-hour. You see, LA got slammed by the downpour. That's pretty rare. There's more coming this way. Some stuff over here by Hawthorne. Look at this super lightning strike event approaching Bridgeport and Bear Valley. I would be looking at a live weather forecast, like for the general region. I bet KCRA is going to do one. I would be with you for the 7 o'clock update too, but I basically have to go. So I'm out of time, folks. I hope you found this informative. Josh, I'm looking back at chat. AA504 reports they have retardant up the left flank and tied it up to the ridge. Okay, good. But they do have a small spot outside of that. That'll be the work of a helicopter. That is like Star Wars when they're shooting the torpedo into the Death Star at the end. He's got to have the Force with him. One missed drop and that thing will explode. People don't understand it. It's like that. With the helicopter drops. They can't even hover over a fire to drop. They would crash because the updrafts of the heat, the thermals, would make the helicopter flip over. Just like the helicopter on the Chernobyl footage, the actual helicopter crash. That unfortunate pilot didn't see that the invisible heat coming off of Chernobyl's reactor. You can't hover over something that's got heat, just coming up into the sky. What they have to do is they have to swing in a wide arc and they have to bank. And as they're swinging past the fire and banking and turning right in front of it. They have to then release right at the right moment and fling the water onto a slope. I need to find the incredible video of firefighters doing that before last year's fires down in Southern California. It shows a Sikorsky doing that on a hillside, and it's some of the most incredible video I've ever seen. I'll try and dig that up. And yeah, it's helicopters don't hover over a fire and carefully drop stuff. It's not like that. They sling it, and that is some super flying right there. And it takes some balls of steel. No other way to say it. So, okay, I think I will adjourn this. Thanks for my radar recommendation. This aviator thinks it's great. Oh yeah, Malcolm, I forgot you're into the. You got to tell me again your story about your aviation days. You still flying? I try to remember from last year, but I met so many people. I made notes on who everybody was and what they did, but I can't quite remember. Yeah, it's weather's the main pilot killer. Yeah, and so is being seduced by a lovely landscape and heading towards mountains. going off the registered flight path and disappearing, and then they can't find you. Okay, so thank you so much. Can everybody hit the like and subscribe button and tell your friends to do that? Even if you don't want any notifications, it helps the channel survive because of the stupid new algorithms. A machine calculates whether or not my video gets seen by people. They can even search for my videos and channel and not find them. Because the way it works is that if there are no new likes and new subscribers, then you get downgraded. You get put on page 57 of the news, even if you're covering something critically important. So there are two ways to get notifications. When you hit subscribe, if you hit the ringing bell, it's going to let you know every time I go live. And if you hit the non-ringing bell, like the flat one, then you never get a notification. You're just a subscriber who needs to check if I have new videos. So whether or not you want each of those, up to you. If you hit the middle option, it generally just doesn't work. It will try to decide when it thinks you should know that I go live or make a video. So I generally say just hit the ringing bell. You can always decide you don't want to tune in. Dana says, so glad I found you. Thank you for all you do. No, thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here, and knowing I help people is what keeps me going. My email, if you have photos, stories to share, is Catherine.Davidson, my name, Davidson, .wildfires@gmail.com. I do accept food, like food cards, gas cards. I want to cover this live, sort of, as a future endeavor. I want to cover the aftermath and interview survivors and make fire survival videos. And I cannot do that without money. Please donate to victims first, of course. Please go to evacuation centers if they're near you. Take whatever you have in your home that you're not using, such as toothbrushes and old purses and stuff, and put toiletries in there. Take toilet paper to people, old unused cell phones, buy them cell phone minute cards, chargers. Give them maybe some perfumes so they can get the stink of fire off of them. A backpack or two, luggage, they need that sort of thing. Bring a couple interesting books for them. The sort of things that they might be missing. Hang out with them and just ask them what they need. And then make connections with people. That's the best kind of charity. You can write a check or send money somewhere, but there's nothing like saying, hey, what do you need? And then just go getting it for them. It gives you the best feeling in the world. Way more than buying a video game or some sort of a toy for yourself. And just do it. Do charity. Help your fellow man in this situation. So if you guys have pictures, images, stories, and even want to introduce yourself and make contact with me, that's my email. You can also send food like Uber Eats and such that my way. I tend to not eat or go to the grocery store or do anything when I'm covering these. It's Behind the scenes, when I end a stream, I have a lot of cleaning up to do on the hard drives, transferring footage. I just spent $500 on hard drives because I have to record myself to make the footage. Then I have to wipe solid state drives to start over for the next day, reset up my audio equipment. I just dropped a grand into a computer to be able to handle 67 tabs open at a time and edit 4K footage. So there's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes. Every hour that I'm online, I basically have 3 hours of prep where I've opened up all the tabs, gotten all the information to distill, watched a bunch of videos for you, and summarized them for you. So it takes my day. Like, I don't work when these crises are unfolding. I'm glad to be here, but oh my God, do I need food. I am appreciative of anything, even $5. But please think of the victims first. Like and subscribe is the best thing you can do, the best way to help me. And tell me what you want to see. Give feedback. Tell me if I've got sound issues like I did earlier. And tell me what you want me to cover and say, hey, are you aware of this or that thing? That's the way you can really help out. And just be supportive of each other. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for 600 plus subscribers. I'm really grateful to you, and I never knew that I'd be able to help so many folks. I will perhaps be on tonight, and if not, then probably tomorrow morning at 7 p.m. Tune into the Butte County Sheriff's Office Facebook or CAL FIRE. 7 or 8 p.m. will be by the time that they get the evening update. Oh, and right on cue, I've got to go. There's a knock at the door. You're still flying, Malcolm? Cool. Well, I want to pick your brain about that. I bet you watch Blanco Lirio. And guys, watch Blanco Lirio. He's pretty cool. He covers the fires as well, but he's not covering air crashes. That's a different channel. It's in my description. Good night, everybody. Good luck. Stay safe if I don't see you tomorrow. And hold on to your butts.